planning a trip to New York City? Today I'll be going through some of my recommendations on what to do and eat in New York City. First up, we've got the iconic Statue of Liberty. If you Google this up, there are plenty of tours that bring you on a ferry trip to Ellis Island that are about $16. But if you'd rather see the Statue of Liberty for free, you can actually take the Staten Island ferry, which is completely free. It brings you to the island and you can take the ferry back free of charge. The view is probably not as good as if you paid for the ferry tour, but I think it gives you still a pretty decent view if you're not bothered too much about standing right below it for a picture. Once you get off the ferry, you directly reach Empire Outlets, and I don't think there are a lot of shops there, but if you want to just have a breather after the ferry ride, there are a few stores like Nordstrom Rack, Nike Factory Store, and H&M, and then you can hop back onto the ferry for the next ride. If you go up to the second floor of the outlets, there's also a pretty nice view looking back at New York City. Next up, we've got Wall Street, and the first thing I did was grab a coffee at a chain that I haven't been to in so long, which is Blue Bottle. But definitely walk around the street, go take a picture with the Bull and also the New York Stock Exchange. If you just got off the Staten Island ferry from what I mentioned earlier, it's just a 10 to 12 minute walk to Wall Street, so it's definitely in pretty close proximity. With just a 15-minute walk from Wall Street, you reach the 911 Memorial Plaza, and next to that is also a museum. To skip the line, you can pre-order your tickets on 911memorial.org, and tickets range from $15 to $26 depending on your age. So if you're 7 to 12, it's $15. If you're older than that, it's $20, and if you're a US veteran, it's $18. And finally, for adults, it's $26 US. But just right next to it is the Oculus, which is also called the World Trade Center Transportation Hub. It's just an extremely aesthetic and beautiful train station, so definitely grab a picture while you're there. Next up, we've got Brooklyn Bridge, which is an iconic structure on its own, but walking on the bridge, you have such an amazing view of Manhattan. We actually walked from Manhattan to Brooklyn, so we just kept turning our heads around for pictures. But definitely, if you're walking from Brooklyn to Manhattan, I'm sure that view would be amazing. Since Brooklyn is so large, we only focused on visiting DUMBO. We looked through their flea markets, little bookstores, boutiques, cafes. There are little restaurants for you to enjoy. And of course, we took a picture down under the Manhattan Bridge overpass, which we couldn't miss. Personally, I think my experience at Summit One Vanderbilt made me reconfirm my choice of coming here instead of Top of the Rock. This observation deck is such a unique experience. It's so nice inside with mirrored rooms, there's immersive art installations, and the view of Summit One Vanderbilt is just incredible. I think it's so much more than just an observation deck and somewhere that's interactive and really stunning to see inside and not just the exterior view of New York. Just a few things to note if you are interested in coming. It is priced differently throughout the day, and it's cheaper during the daytime and a little more expensive at the nighttime. The prices I have on screen are for the Summit Experience, which gives you general admission. There are more expensive tickets that gives you access to Ascent, which is a glass elevator that brings you a little higher, and also the Ultimate Summit package, which also gives you a drink at the bar. vessel is a piece of interactive artwork in Hudson Yards. It's a spiral staircase that was once a tourist attraction, but because of an accident that took place in 2021, it is now temporarily closed, but nonetheless, it's still an attraction that I think is worth looking at from afar, and the area around it is also very beautiful. Central Park is one of those iconic spots that you see in movies and shows in New York City, and I think I went during a really nice period where we got to see cherry blossom trees and the sun was shining. The park is actually super big, so do be prepared to do a lot of walking if you are planning to walk through the entire park. Couldn't leave Central Park without seeing Bethesda Fountain and Bethesda Terrace next to it, where Chuck and Blair got married from Gossip Girl if you're a fan. While you're at Central Park, I'd also highly recommend stepping out to the streets nearby. There are some of the most beautiful residential buildings and architecture, and we also walked past the Met, where I just took a picture on the steps because of Gossip Girl, but if you are interested in visiting it, it's $25 per adult. Then we've got Fifth Avenue, which is also known as Millionaire's Row. Here you cross down the entire Manhattan from north to south. It's a great place to be in New York for shopping or just window shopping, but also as you walk down the path, you get to see some of the most iconic sites like Empire State Building and Rockefeller Center and so on. Grand Central Terminal is probably one of those landmarks that you don't want to miss when coming to New York. It's open every day from 5 a.m. to 2 a.m. and there also is a little food court down below if you are interested in grabbing a bite to eat. This one's not so much an iconic touristy attraction, but I came to New York shortly after I finished watching Inventing Anna, so if you're interested in seeing it, stop by 281 Park Avenue. You never know when you'll be hit with a rainy day when traveling, and so I recommend heading to Dave & Buster's, which is located around Times Square. It's a great place to be indoors if you're looking for entertainment. It's a great arcade, whether you're with your family or friends. It's a nice way to kill time before you head back outside. Last but not least, New York isn't New York without Times Square. Here you can catch a theater, a musical, walk around and do some shopping, have a meal at the restaurants nearby. But most importantly for me was just to sit nearby Times Square and just soak in and enjoy the vibes of the hustle and bustle in the heart of New York. Then on to what to eat in New York. First up, we have Joe's Pizza, and this was highly recommended by so many of my friends and online, and it genuinely tastes so good. I don't know how to put it into words, but it was so crispy, and I definitely see the hype around it. Second up, we have TONG. If you don't know, I'm born and raised in Hong Kong, so when we came over here, some of our local friends told us about this place, and we got some very basic dishes that we would eat at home. So we got like a lemongrass pork chop rice and also a rice noodle dish, which I would typically eat as breakfast back at home, and it was just really nice and homey feeling, very sentimental for us when we were at this restaurant. Then we have the HALAL guys, which also a lot of people recommended us to visit, and they claim to be the pioneers of American halal food, and I could definitely see they were very popular. I think that the food was pretty good. I wouldn't say anything incredible, but would still definitely be something that's a good cheap eat to have in New York. If you like Japanese BBQ, I would highly recommend coming here. It was $20 for 3 types of meat each, and we were so full afterwards. Highly recommend it. It was so yummy. I've never had Chick-fil-A before, which is why I had to give it a go when I came to New York. I think it tastes not only good, but it tastes healthier than other fast food chains. This is not so much a food choice, but I tried this for the first time in New York and I thought it was so good. I think it's called the Caramel Cold Foam Cold Brew. I wish they brought this over here in London. If you've never had Ichiran before, you should definitely try it. It's a Japanese ramen chain across the globe, and essentially you order the ramen and you sit inside a cubicle by yourself and the ramen comes to you. If you've never tried it, definitely give it a go. It's an experience, but also the soup base is really yummy. You can clearly tell I'm a fan of Japanese foods from the recommendations that I'm giving, but here I definitely recommend the chamushi if you're a fan. We discovered this restaurant in K-Town randomly. We were super tired and we just went inside it and it did not disappoint. In fact, I highly recommend this place. It's super simple but also super delicious and affordable. The last place that I wanted to mention was a little bakery in K-Town, and if you miss Korea as much as I do, I think this place perfectly encapsulates a bakery/cafe in Seoul, but in New York. But yeah, that's everything that I wanted to share today. I hope this gave you a little bit of insight as to what to do or what to eat if you were to visit New York. Hopefully this helps one of you guys out there, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye!